Now we are. Now we're live on Facebook and we're live on Periscope. I think I'm getting this thing figured out. So thank you all for bearing with me and being patient. This day's been a long time coming, and we're launching my book. I want you to know, starting now, you are able to go download the book for free for 24 hours, and I encourage every one of you to do that. Why not take advantage of this while it's free? I think that it's a great format to get to understand what the information is all about. But then I also highly recommend that you go ahead and buy the paperback when that comes out, which should be in a week or so, because this is meant to be used. This is meant to be a guide. So you're going to want to jot your notes in there and scribble in the back, and there's space in the back to sort of journal some things that you may want to keep track of. We left those pages blank at the wise suggestion of my awesome VA, so you can journal in whatever way speaks to you. You may want to sketch or slide some pictures in, whatever works for you. So I think both versions serve a purpose, but let's take advantage of being able to take this for free and enjoy it in digital format. So a lot of this hour, I am really hoping that we're going to take some questions from you all. There are a lot of questions that have come my way, and I'm going to share the answers to some of those. But go ahead and ask questions as they come to you. We've got a whole hour here, so we've got a lot of time to talk about the bits and pieces of the book. And I just appreciate everyone that's signing on. I think it's incredible that you are taking time out of your busy, busy days. Everybody is just so jam-packed with the things that they need to accomplish every day in their life. And here you are joining in, and celebrating with me. And, I just thank you so much for that from the bottom of my heart. This is just a thrill. I guess I don't need Christmas this year. I might not have the tree today, but the feels are the same. This is an incredible day. And in addition to downloading the book today for free, I also want to encourage each one of you to skip on over to my website, which is thevisionarypassage.com, and sign up for a drawing that we're doing. And that'll be live. I'll keep that up as long as the book is free. We'll keep that drawing up as well. And each one of you new people, new to the website, will be entered into a drawing that will have some lucky winner get an autographed copy of the book, and you will also get a free 30-minute consultation on whatever caregiving need you may have. And that can be anything from a real-time, first-hand dilemma that you're having in your caregiving experience right now, or it can also be something that is a long-distance caregiving dilemma. Those can be even more pressing than when you're literally physically in the trenches. It can be a consultation about your discussion of how you want to go about planning for your particular end of life. It could be questions about the book. And it can also be for those of you that are on the other side of caregiving, that are going through that time of the grief process and trying to figure out what is next for you. I'm happy to do a consultation on any of those things. So I think that will be really worthwhile to go in conjunction with the book. And last but not least, the other part of this giveaway will be the opportunity to get a download of a set of forms that I have used that are just so valuable to me. This little package sells for $19.97, but I like to tell people it's actually priceless, because it has really kept my head on straight, literally, in the caregiving experience with my mom. And these forms will make it possible for you to keep track of the actual visits. So whether you are taking the person that you're caring for to the emergency room, to the hospital, a regular doctor's visit, physical therapist visit, whatever it is, you enter in the information, who you're seeing, when you're seeing them, what is the follow-up plan, when you're going to see them next. And these are all refillable PDFs that were put together by my Crackerjack VA. So make sure if you're interested in VA services that you send her an email. She can be reached at Sarah at bowandarrowva.com. So she made these forms that are workhorses for me look pretty for you, so I thank her for that. Also in that packet of forms are a way to keep track of all the medications that the person you're caring for is on, or yourself for that matter, and allergies that they have, special special things that you want someone to know in the case of emergency. I literally have this in a 3-ring binder, and it is behind my mom's chair. And when we have an emergency, and I'm sorry to say we've had too many of them in the recent past, I literally hand the book to the paramedics as they come through the door, and they are just so thankful to have that information right at their fingertips. So my dear cousin who is following on Facebook just reminded me that I would want to tell you what VA stands for, and VA is virtual assistant. So Sarah helps people, especially entrepreneurs and especially those in the healthcare field, work with their needs in terms of the nuts and bolts and the administration. And she's absolutely fabulous and the best, and I thank you, Sarah. So that is what is available in the package that you will be signing up for. I hope everybody takes advantage of that, and really look forward to your feedback on that as well. So one of the things that we want to do in this time that we have together today is to talk about the things that can support you, and to also talk about how the book can support you. So getting back to this package that I was talking about, the forms that you can take advantage of for your loved one, this really takes the excuses away for not being organized. And being organized is one of the basic things that I teach people about when you're on the journey of caregiving. There are, if you want to use the term life hacks, that term is really popular right now. These are life hacks that will make this job, this journey, this honor a little bit easier for you. And these forms that I was talking about is one way to keep track of everything that's going on. You don't have to remember. You will get asked the same questions every time you go to the hospital, every time you go to the doctor. And you know, your wits are usually a little more about you, but I can tell you from experience, and I've been an EMT, and I think I have a pretty cool head, but oh my gosh, when your loved one is in crisis and perhaps they're unresponsive, and the paramedics come through the door and they start shooting the 20 questions at you, even I just kind of, you know, I've stalled out a couple of times, and I've been so grateful to be able to just say, everything's here in the book, let me know if you have any questions. So again, I am so tickled to see all these people joining in. I'm just blown away. I thank each one of you. Haley, Barbara, thank you for joining in. I'm just so thankful that you're taking the time out to join in my celebration, and hopefully taking advantage of the free download as well. So talking a little bit about the book and some of the questions that I hope will start popping up here, and questions that you may have, but I have also many questions that have come to me from folks in the recent past, especially as I started talking about the book. A lot of people just don't get it, and I guess that makes sense. So one of the main questions is, what is this book? I don't understand. Is it a book? Is it a guide? Is it a workbook? And the answer is, yep, it is. It's actually all of those things. It started out as just being a workbook. And it came about because after my father passed away, I had become very convicted about getting in the arena of supporting caregivers in their journey, because there's not enough support out there. And to me, because I am the ever practical person, I wanted to start with the practical pieces first, right? You get all the things that you can control in place. And then when you've done that, it sort of frees up your mind to embrace this person that you're caring for and be a little bit more there for them spiritually, mentally, emotionally. So I'm all about keeping it real. Excuse me, gotta get a little sip of water here. I'm all about keeping it real, being practical. And that's how it started out. So I was trying to find a place that I could send clients to that they could fill out, and also do this with the person that they're caring for, fill out all of their documents, all of their wishes. How do I find out what the person I'm caring for wants, if they should become seriously ill, if they're in a decline? How do I go about finding this information out? How do I document it? So I'm looking, and I never found what I was looking for. Sure, I found some great forms with little bits and pieces. I wanted something that was comprehensive. I'm from the events industry, and the events company that I used to work for was all inclusive. We were the turnkey one-stop shop for events, and I wanted to be the same thing for caregivers. I didn't want to send you, 3, 4, 5 different places. I just wanted you to have what you needed in one place at your fingertips. So I did what any self-respecting Aries woman would do. I decided I'll just create it myself. So it took me a long time, sure, to put the form together, and I got it to where it looked okay, and I expected to be excited when I was done with it. I thought, this is really cool. This is going to be a great tool. I think I've done something that's worthwhile here, and I can start using it. And you know how you feel that sense of productivity, and this is great. I did something good. I didn't feel that at all. In fact, I felt anxious and, a little jacked up, and kind of didn't sleep for a couple of nights. And I was pacing around, and I was trying to figure out what is going on here. And then I realized, when I got completely sleep deprived, I guess it opened the portal for the thought that was already hanging there to come in. Julia, I know you understand that feeling, yeah. That it was not just about the workbook. It's just so much more. It's not just about being practical and pragmatic. That's just a piece of it. And I wanted to be the one-stop shop, holistic, offer everything. Have this be an experience as well as something that's practical. Because we all know that we respond. We respond to the stories of other people. We respond to the joys and also the traumas that other people go through. And it is what takes us from the head knowledge into the heart knowledge, and the heart knowledge is usually what catapults us into action. And that was my aha moment, that workbook was just a little piece of what I wanted to create. So I set out on this journey to create this guide and this book that is part workbook, it is part guide, and it is part heartfelt stories. And that's how I've been describing it to people, that it is a book straight from the heart that will help get you and keep you on track in not only your journey towards getting ready for the end of your life, and by the way, you can be doing that when you're 25, or helping caregivers, right? Helping caregivers talk to the people that they care for and getting those plans all in place. So there are a couple of different types of story in the book, and the stories in the book are all, I've changed everybody's names and I've changed their regions. I like people to not feel uncomfortable and not think, oh my God, if I talk to her, is someone going to be able to know that it was me? So everything that's changed, but the heart of the story is there. And I'll tell you, we have stories that are about people who have experienced the joy and not the pleasure, but the comfort of having loved ones that really took care of their business. They had all their documents in place, they had all the proper forms signed, they had what they wanted for a funeral written down. They had what they wanted for their disposition written down. And so when their children experienced their eventual deaths, it was all decided. They were then able to just sit back and feel the grief and feel what you feel when you lose someone. And I don't think that there's anything worse than going through that and also having to make these decisions that are just they're monumental. They're huge. And you are making these decisions when you are at your most vulnerable, when it's the most difficult for you to get your head on straight and think about, what you're going to make for breakfast. You're making these life-changing decisions. So this book helps take that off of your shoulders when it's all done for you. And then some of the stories are, the absolute opposite. People who had no plan in place, people who had not even a will, nothing that would provide any insight to someone after they passed. And although I don't like to, put us in a place of fear, I'll tell you, listening to those stories, I've never been so convicted of that. I never, ever, ever want to do that to my husband. I never want to do that to my kids. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that mom. And I'm sure you guys don't want to be that person either. This is the best and the most beautiful gift that we can give our loved ones. It is a legacy of love. And this is my goal. This is my prayer. This is my vision. I want to create a tidal wave of change in how we think about death, how we approach death, how we think about serious illness and injury. Not addressing those things doesn't mean they're not going to happen. We had a funny little thing in the car yesterday with my husband, and I looked over and I could see that literally no gas. The little light was on, right? And I said, dude, you need to put a little juice in this thing. And he said, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow when I get to such and such. And I said, but your light's already on. Oh, I've got 50 miles left. And I said, well, what if the gauge isn't exactly correct? There have been a couple of other little blips in how this car works. What if your gauge is off a little bit? And he looked at me and he said, oh, sure. Now that you said it, it's going to happen. And it was another one of those little aha moments. Well, just because we avoid things and don't give voice to them doesn't mean they're not going to happen. I love you, Bob. I'm not throwing you under the bus, by the way. Just because you don't say that your car is going to run out of gas doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So we are all going to die. That's the one thing that we've all got in common. And interestingly enough, 90% of us will know at least sometime in advance that it's going to happen. So this gives us the opportunity to give a voice to what we would want to have happen. And just as importantly, what do we want to have happen if, we experience a serious illness or a serious injury? These are real life things that we need to think about. So this gives you a chance to think about them, give voice to them, and put them down and document them. And I'm not here to promote any special way of, I think everybody that, has a brain injury should do this or this. That's not what I mean at all. All I'm doing is taking you to a place where you can decide what's right for you. And your feelings can change. Your feelings will change. How you think about life and death is different. So my daughter's watching today. She's a young woman. I'm sure how she looks at the possibility of what may happen to her physically by illness or injury is a lot different than what I would think at, because I'm a little bit older than she is, just a little bit. I had her at a very early age. It's a little different, I'm sure, than how she would look at it. And my mother is on a whole different plane than I'm on. So we will change how we feel, and this can all be updated. I recommend once a year that you sit down and take 10 or 15 minutes and look at what you've documented in the book and say, yeah, I've learned a lot this year about this particular illness, or I've learned a lot this year about tube feeding, and my opinion is so different than it used to be. Or your final disposition, oh my gosh, I've learned a lot about, you know, whatever. And I don't feel the way I did, I want to change it. And you just document your changes. Update it as things change. But there's never, ever, ever too early to start. One of the quick little things that I had in the book that I had read while I was writing this book was this young woman in San Francisco that was out riding her bike on a beautiful afternoon on the crazy streets of San Francisco. And I think she was 27 years old. Hi to all the new people that are joining us. It's so great to have you here. Love that there's just so many people joining in. So she was out riding her bike, and she came around a corner. She was where she should need to be. A truck was driving too fast, came through an intersection, and hit her, and she was revived at the scene, but she succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. So at the age of 27, her life was cut short. This letter was written by a woman who happened to be just walking down the street, witnessed the whole thing happen, and it was very touching. Again, you just don't know what's going to happen, and it's great to be prepared for whatever may come. And in this goal of mine to change how we think about death, to change how we plan for death, I think about my generation. I think about the older baby boomers, the younger baby boomers, and then the ones that are like just beyond that, the next 5 years younger than baby boomer generation. We've, understandably so, gotten a bad rap as a generation for a generation of, hey Aisha, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here, thank you. And Pauline, oh my gosh, this is just incredible. Thank you guys so much for joining. We've been a generation of living in excess. We're known for our debt and living beyond our means, and we've gotten a lot of things wrong, but we sure have gotten a lot of things right as a generation. We have rewritten every stage of life as a generation. It's been incredible to see how we have impacted how the world works. We started having our babies at home. We started having natural childbirth. We weren't content to just do it the way it had been done before. And we can say that for every stage of life. We've not accepted dogmatic religion in the same way that we did in the past. We have stepped out. We've stepped up. We have found ways to express ourselves spiritually in a whole new way. We've had great impact on church and religion because we have wanted to breathe new life into what had become stagnant. We have, oh my gosh, entrepreneurship has just exploded because so many of us said, I can't do the corporate culture, and I want to impact the economy in a new way, in a positive way. I want to make a difference, and I want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. So again, we've impacted every stage of our lives. Well, why would we do things any differently as we start to age out? We've been so incredibly influential on our children. We have shown them how to be yourself. We have shown them how to step out and be free to be real people and not just follow along with the pack. So as we get older and we start to think about death, why would we do it any differently now? I know I don't plan to do it any differently. I like to think I've been a pretty good mom. I've made mistakes, which we all do. But one of my goals has been teaching my children how to live. teaching my children how to be comfortable with themselves no matter where they are, what they're doing. And I can tell you that my goal is to teach my children how to die with grace. My goal is to teach my children that it's okay to think ahead of time and to plan what you would want, so I don't throw this awful task onto them of trying to make these decisions in those final days. So I want to die like I lived, and I want other people to be free to feel the same. And I think that we are a bold generation, and the older we get, the more we're going to say, yeah, me too. That's what I want. So that's what I'm working toward. That's what this book is all about. That's what this movement is all about. And I invite each one of you to share in and to be a part of that, to be a part of that movement. So, trying to think about some of the questions that I have gotten. And George, I am seeing your comments. It's just hard to watch both screens. I'm a little new at all this, so I appreciate everything that you're saying. I just can't comment on all of them. But one of the questions that I get asked all the time is this little bit of a confusion. Yes, George, thank you. There's confusion about, I don't really get it. If I know what my elderly mom wants, my elderly uncle wants that I'm taking care of, why do I need to document it? I don't get it. I mean, we've talked. I know what they want. We absolutely have to have things documented. We have to have the proper forms filled out. We have to have things done in a way that is legal. So we take care of the pragmatic and the practical things, because if you don't have those documents in place, you lose control when that death occurs, and nobody wants that. So it's important to download the forms for your state, so you can document what you want, what your loved one wants for serious illness, for serious injury, what they want for their living will. 5 wishes is a great form to utilize. Now, not every state recognizes it as a legal form. I think there are 52 states that do recognize it, but you can use it in conjunction with your other forms. I just find it to be less lawyer-esque and a little bit more real people. They use language that we can resonate with. And so that's a great form to use. So make sure that you've done all of those forms. One of the questions that has been coming in, I see, is what my inspiration was for this book. And I can't believe I'm in 20 minutes into this, a little more than 20 minutes into this, and I haven't even talked about my inspiration, which is hard to believe because I usually lead with that. But years ago, I was a chef at a kind of a high-end retirement community, and oh my gosh, I just these people became my family. I fell in love with each and every one of them, and we became very, very close friends. And it was amazing to me to watch some of these people approach their end of life alone, with children that were close by but not a part of their lives. And I sat with more than a few of them as they took their final journey. And I think that really started to impact me. And, excuse me, I need another drink of water. And leave a lasting impression. But what mostly changed my life was my father's journey with vascular dementia, and then all of the medical issues that were attached to that. He was amazing. My father was not the easiest guy in the world, but as he journeyed through this, there was this amazing transformation that took place, and he literally became more angelic as he journeyed through this process, and he endured things that I couldn't share with you and keep my composure, physically, mentally, some of the things that happened to him were just beyond belief. And he was so loving, so gracious, and always worried about me and my mom and the nurse that was standing over him and doing something that caused him pain. He'd pat her hand and say, "Are you okay, honey? I'm sorry. I know this is hard for you." He was such an inspiration to me on every front. And then, as he neared the time of his death, I had the honor of sitting with him for the last 5 days as he was preparing to leave this life. And it was just an incredible process, and was the most difficult task I've ever loved. And I would not change it for the world. I'm so honored to have been a part of it. But it changed me forever. And I just saw that quote the other day, that the loss of a parent, life is never the same again after the loss of a parent. And that was certainly the case for me. It changed me, and it changed my direction in life. And I realized how unsupported caregivers are in their journey. And I realized how much people needed practical support, spiritual support, and emotional support. And the practical side is what was the inspiration for the beginning of the book. And then all of the rest of it came into play, as I had mentioned before, that I wanted this to be something that affects you on every level. And so my inspiration is my father. And going forward, I can absolutely say my inspiration now is my mother as she ages and has some fairly serious things going on. She, again, is so gracious and so kind, and so proactive. Oh my gosh, my mom is the bomb diggity, and she lets me dig in with the tough questions, and we work on how to solve things together. And she's just an amazing person. So they both are and have been my inspiration for this book, and I'm so grateful to have had the incredible parents that I have. And another question is about the forms that I was talking about. Right now, I'm just going to offer them in the next day or so as part of this prize. If you go to my website, thevisionarypassage.com, and join in, you will be entered into the giveaway. You'll get an autographed copy of my book. You'll get a 30-minute consultation about caregiving or end-of-life issues or grief issues, and then you will also get a set of these forms. But after we close out this giveaway, I will be putting the forms up on my website, and they'll be available for you on the website for a nominal fee. So let's see. I'm trying to think about some of the other, another interesting question that I got was a woman that said to me recently that her great aunt is having some health issues, and she's getting older, and she's talking about having a home funeral, and everybody is freaking out about the concept of a home funeral. So she said, I saw on your website that you know a little bit about that, and we're freaked out. What is this all about, and what would we have to do? And that's a huge subject that is webinar worthy, and I don't want to be flippant about it, but it's a beautiful thing. Again, our generation is taking the lead. We're shaping the way we're deciding to die. We're shaping the way that we want to be taken care of after our death. And we're reclaiming the right to have our own funeral in our own home. Just as we reclaimed the right to have our babies in our own home, we now, when we pass, would like to stay at home. It's not as overwhelming and freaky a thing as many people think it is, and the more that we delve into it, we realize that it is beautiful and it is natural. So there is a whole section in my book about home funerals, how to approach it, how to think about it, whether it's right for you. I think for many people, a compromise is a beautiful thing. I personally have my own opinion about what happens to us after we have died. And I personally like the idea of not catapulting into action and taking that body and throwing it in a bag and having the funeral home zip it out. I like the idea of sacred space, holding space, keeping things quiet and undisturbed. But you'll see a lot of information about that in my book. I love questions about that. I welcome questions about that. I'm actually a member of the National Home Funeral Association, so I work with a small group in Massachusetts that helps people sort of journey through this if they decide they want to have a home funeral. And so there's a lot of information, as I said, in the book, and we can always go into that in greater detail. But one of the things that comes up all the time, and I just got through telling you how open my mom and I are and how she is just so great about being proactive about her health, but that does not mean it is not the hardest thing ever to sit down with her and say, so mom, after you've died, how would you feel about me keeping you here for a day before we call the funeral home? So mom, you know, do you want to be embalmed? I mean, these questions are the toughest ever. So how in the world do we have those conversations with our loved ones? How in the world do we broach that subject? Especially if you don't have that close a relationship with your mom and dad, and many people don't. Especially if you are halfway across the country and you only see your parents or your other relatives once or twice a year. Who wants to take Thanksgiving, to have that conversation? So what are some of the ways? I'm going to do, actually I'm going to do a blog post about this, so that's another reason to sign up for keeping active on my website, because I'm going to have in the next few days a blog post about how do we start the tough conversations. But one easy way that we can talk about today is to use my book. I think it, personally, that's my opinion, I think it would be easier than just sitting down and having a cold conversation with a parent, to have the book and say, I saw this woman and I bought her book and I filled it all out, mom. I mean, it was kind of crazy. There's things that I'd never thought about before. It took me a while to put the information together, but it got me thinking about what I want, and more importantly, because you're a little older than I am, what do you want? What do you want? Can I ask you some of these questions that are in the book? Would you be interested in sitting with me and having me read to you, and you can, give me your opinion? That's one way that takes a little bit. My cousin just said, yeah, pass the stuffing, let's talk about death. It's actually not a bad idea. I'd probably do it before dinner, but that's okay. I think the book sort of takes you a little bit more out of the equation, and you become a little bit more the third party, and I think that makes it a little bit easier. But some of the other ways that you can start these conversations with your parents is when there is the death of a celebrity, right? People talk about it. Oh my God, did you hear that so and so died? I can't believe it. Yeah, mom, and that got me thinking, there's a lot of questions that I still have. There's things that I don't want to know about, and I want to make sure that I do what you want. I want to make sure that I respect you and honor you, and I can't do that if I don't know what you want. And other, life events and tragedies that happen, those are all good intros into having those conversations. Another question was, when do I know the right time to start planning for my eventuality? And I think it's now. If you are 18 years old, and I don't imagine I have too many 18-year-olds on either one of these webcasts, but if you're 18 and you're like, what's the point? I can get that, because you think you're going to live forever, and you may own a car, but you don't even own a home yet. You don't see that it's that big a deal. But as you get to the point where you are having a family, you are in a serious relationship, you are traveling a lot, there are all kinds of reasons that you would want to start early. I don't think there is such a thing as too early. Um, Heaven forbid if anything happened to either one of my children. Um, I think it's hard to even wrap my brain around it, but I think that it would bring me some comfort to know that my daughter told me, Mom, if something happened to me, I would want this. Even if it's just, I want this song played at my funeral. I want you to read this poem. I'm also a celebrant, so maybe she'd say, geez, I want you to deliver my service. I have no idea. But it would bring me comfort to know, again, I'm all about the practical, that I practically impacted um, her in her desire. This would bring me a lot of comfort. So I don't think there's ever too early a time. And some people are asking, well, why do I even need this book? Can't I just have a will drawn up? Yes, you absolutely can. You certainly can have a will drawn up, and you should have a will drawn up. But there's so much more beyond just the will. A will is usually read after your disposition. A will is read after you have been put into the ground or you have been cremated, whatever's going to happen to you. So we need a way to know what you want. We need a way to know, what do you want if you become seriously ill? We need a way to know, what do you want to have done with your 3 cats and 2 dogs if something should happen to you? You can put it in your will, you absolutely can. However, remember I just said that that doesn't get read until your final disposition. So some time has passed and your dear pets need to be cared for immediately. So if you have a living will in place, you have someone um, who has been designated as stepping in and doing that for you, that can happen immediately, and your dear little pets will be taken care of right away. So I'm looking at a question here. Yes, and there are a lot of things that wills do not address, and some of them are funnier than others. I'm reading a little comment from my brother here. Um, it's important to think about the other things that are so much more involved than just a will would cover, and that is really the purpose of this book. Is all these other facets, the other areas of life that don't necessarily get addressed into into your will. So just to talk a little bit again about the book itself, there are ways that you can there are ways that you can download the book today for free, and I want as many of you to take advantage of that as possible, because that supports this goal of mine to get you all thinking about this, to get you all proactively planning. So you can go to my Facebook page, which is The Visionary Passage. In that feed, you are going to see a link that takes you right to Amazon, and you get it for free today, which is so cool. 24 hours. It started at noon, so you have 23 hours and 15 minutes left to get it for free. You can go to my personal page. There's the link is also there. I have it on my Twitter feed, which is at Leslie Cottrell. I think it was on my Periscope feed when I started, but I could be wrong. That feels like about 24 hours ago when I started this broadcast, so I'm not sure. And I'll be putting it all up again as soon as we're done here. That will go back out. And I also invite everyone to go to my page, visionarypassage.com, sign up today, and you are going to get entered into a giveaway. Some lucky person will be getting an autographed copy of the book. You will also get a 30-minute consultation on any caregiving need, broad scope, narrow scope that you have. And then you'll also get the forms that I spoke about earlier that really help you as a caregiver, keeping all of that information for your loved one straight. And those forms will then go up on the website in a couple of days that you can purchase as well. But right now you can sign up to get those for free. I realize that I'm sitting here and I have a hard time sitting still and I'm kicking my legs. So you may be seeing, my head's been bobbing for the last hour, and I apologize for that. Sitting still is a real issue for me. So I would love to see any other questions that you all may have. There is also a section in the book about funerals themselves. There's a section in the book about end-of-life vigils. There's a section in the book that to me is very, very dear to my heart and very poignant, and that is about the death vigil itself. And this is written to caregivers. This is about those difficult days and hours as you are coming to the end of life, and how you can be present and you can hold that sacred space for the person that you've been caring for so long, but also about how to be caring for yourself. We get really fragmented a lot of times in those final days when you know that the end is very near and the hospice team has said to you, gosh, I think your dad has, less than 3 days left. And you start calling family in, and all of a sudden you've gone from this very intimate, quiet setting where it's just been you, the person that you're caring for, your immediate family, the hospice team, and now people are just arriving, right? There's a deluge of new bodies in your house, and they are hit with this tsunami of emotion because you have experienced multiple tiny griefs all through this journey with your loved one. You've seen them decline. You've held them through these difficult experiences physically, mentally, perhaps spiritually. And they, on the other hand, have been not around. And they walk in and, oh my gosh, they're just seeing this person for the first time. And, it knocks you off your center for sure. And all of a sudden, you are now popped into this role of making everybody else feel okay, because that's what you are, right? You're a caregiver. You make people feel good. And without realizing it, you may get so fragmented that suddenly you're not caring for this person that you've cared for so long. And it's important that you not lose yourself, that you step up and you retain your space and your place as the primary caregiver for this person. Listen, as emotional as everybody is, as wrecked as everybody may be when they arrive on the scene, they've been able to take care of themselves in their own life before now. They don't need you to make the bed. They don't need you to make the food. They don't need you to make flight arrangements. They don't need you to do all of those things. They can do it for themselves. I make it easier for you because I have ways that you can divvy things up, and I have lists for you. I have ways that you can be prepared that will make it, again, all about being practical, right? Will make it easy for you to say, listen, here's a list. You're going to divide it up amongst yourselves of what needs to be done. My role here is to support the person that's passing, my father, my great aunt, whoever it is. And I'm going to continue in that role. And I'm here for you too, but my primary role will be seeing this through. It's like, your OBGYN, they've been with you for 9 months as you were pregnant with your baby, and you now have this relationship, right? They're your dear friend. They know more about you than, almost anybody else on this planet. And they want to be there when that baby's born. Now, sometimes it doesn't happen. They may be away on vacation, the timing isn't right, but they want to be there for you. They want to see this to fruition just like you want them to be there. And this is very, very similar. You've been through this whole journey, and you do want to say and be there until that crossover happens, and not to feel that you need to apologize for that. You know, it's okay to stand up for yourself and be firm. So again, this book, I Want You to Know, has been launched today, and you can download it for free for 24 hours. You can go to my website, thevisionarypassage.com. You can go to the Visionary Passage page on Facebook. You can go to my personal page, Leslie Cottrell Simons, on Facebook. It's on Twitter under @LeslieCottrell. And all of those links will be going up. And again, after we're done with this scope and after this Facebook post, and my daughter may be taking care of that for me and putting that up there, I have no idea. But we're going to be making sure that those links are very, very obvious for you guys to be able to download it. And I just want to thank everybody again that has taken the time to come out, to join in, to be a part of this book launch. This is my right from the heart, straight from the heart, passionate work. And it just thrills me that people are saying, this is important stuff. It's not fun. Who wants to think about it? But I'm trying to make it as easy. It's like coloring by numbers when you get this book. I take you through every single phase, even just gathering who your contacts are, gathering all of your passwords, gathering where your bank accounts are, gathering what your investments are. All of these things are in this one book. Clearly, this is not a book about legalities. I point you to where you can download things that you need to download to have the proper documentation filled out. This book is all about the feels in a practical way. So I Want You to Know is the name of the book. And George has been very patient today, asking me very, very many questions about faith and the afterlife. And I've tried to keep how I feel, what I feel out of the book per se, because book is not about me. This book is about you and your journey. This book is about your loved ones and their journey. So I'm really not talking about my views too much. I'm sure it sneaks in there here and there, and there will probably be, you know, another book about that in the near future. But while we're talking about other books, I also wanted to mention that I have already started book number 2, which is called We Want You to Know. And this book is going to be all about the stories. As I said, I have some personal stories in this book that will really touch your heart, and I hope motivate you to take action to document all of your wishes. This book is going to be all about personal experience. And I'm inviting anyone who has experienced the death of mother, father, sister, brother, child, aunts and uncles, your partners, your spouses, that has a story to share with me regarding how it affected you. Were you impacted by how they had plans in place? And were you impacted by how they didn't have plans in place? These stories are what take us from the head to the heart and take action. So the new book is all about those stories. I welcome each one of you to email me, to contact me on Facebook. You can reach me at leslie@thevisionarypassage.com. And I would love, love, love to talk to you. And again, as I had mentioned before, I change the names of every person that shares a story with me. I change what region you're from. So there is no need to feel like, oh God, if I tell her my story, people are going to know that, it's our family and we were kind of a mess. I change things up so no one's going to make that connection. And because I want to make it comfortable for you to share your heart stories with me. And this book is going to come out just as fast as I can get it out there because I think it's important. So feel free to reach out quickly, and I'll talk to you and we'll get your stories started. So again, my book, I Want You to Know, is available for free download for 24 hours only. And you can go to my Facebook page, The Visionary Passage. There's a banner there that has, by George, thank you for joining. There's a banner there that has the link. There's a banner on my personal page, Leslie Cottrell Simons on Facebook, on Twitter, at Leslie Cottrell. Any of those places have the banner, and we're going to share that again just as soon as these live broadcasts are done. Those are all going to go out again. So it is only available for Kindle today because it is just live and free for 24 hours. So we're making it only available on Kindle while it's free. And then in the next couple of days, it is going to be available to purchase as a paperback. So stay tuned for that. And I'll be sure to put that information out again. Carol, I see that you had said you wish that it was available other than Kindle. I'll make sure I contact you directly and let you know. Hello, Kathy, my friend. It's so good to see you. I will make sure that I let you know when that paperback goes live as well. Because I know that's how I want to have it. I want to have it in my hand. I want to be able to jot things down. I want to be able to scribble in the margins. I want to be able to draw pictures in the back. And most importantly, perhaps, as I had said before, I want people to use this as a tool. I want them to be able to hold it in their hand and go into their dad's house and sit down and say, Dad, I've got some stuff I want to read to you. I'd like to hear what you think about it. And we can do this a chapter at a time, but I think it's important that we have this conversation. And certainly that's a lot easier to do with the older generation with a book in your hand and not the Kindle format. So the Kindle certainly serves a great service for those of us that want to read it, and it gives you the opportunity to download it for free, and I love that, and I hope many, many people take advantage of downloading I Want You to Know for free today while they can. And then soon, as I said, paperback will be out, and then we can take advantage of that. So I think we're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes here. Again, this has been so fun. I was nervous about this hour because I thought, everybody else has been doing these launches that's got crazy music and they're just dancing around, and it's like so not me. And I had planned a launch that was actually at a business, and there have been some things going on with my mom that have made me not comfortable with leaving the house a whole lot in the last few weeks. So I thought, you know what? We're just going to do a question and answer period, and we're going to keep it real because that's what I'm about. I'm practical, keep it real, make it easy. And I'm glad that we did it this way. And I am just so thrilled that so many people were here. Greg Marsh, oh my gosh, thank you for joining. I was just thinking about you the other day, so it's great to see you all here. Big hugs and big kisses to each one of you for joining in, for being a part of this. Go get that book. Go be a change maker. And stay in touch with me and let me know how it's going for you. And if you hit walls and you hit speed bumps and you're like, I can't have this conversation, reach out to me. We will brainstorm it together. We are going to change the world in end-of-life processes, just like we've changed the world all through the rest of our lives. And I am so happy to be on this journey with every single one of you. I can't wait to hear from you. Blessings to each one of you, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Again, I want you to know available on Amazon for digital download today only for free. And then in a few days, it will be available in paperback. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to put that out there like a crazy person, just like I did with the digital download. So when it goes to paperback, everybody will know about it. But today, take advantage of it, download it for free. Please do me the honor of going to Amazon after you've read it and put those reviews out there. That is a huge part of this whole digital world. It's a huge part of how Amazon sees you and thinks that, you know, you are worthy. So I would love, love, love to see those reviews. I have a fabulous quote already that is either already out there or is going to go out in just a few minutes, from someone who read the book that just, it really touched my heart, and it is the highest compliment from someone who I just absolutely adore and honor. Thank you again, each one of you. Looking forward to hearing about your journeys. Please keep in touch and let me know how you're doing. And have a great day, everyone. I will talk to you all soon. Take care and bye-bye.